Wednesday morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Choi Yoon-hee iterates that North Korea is well capable of initiating war on the peninsula without the consent of China or Russia.
And the aftermath of Yoon Suk-yeol's comments has snowballed big enough to freeze the bipartisan relationship. I have more details coming up in the headlines.
And controversy over duty-free shops at Kimhae Airport could be on the way. We'll tell you more on In Print.
And in a very service-oriented country like Korea, there are more self-service gas stations popping up all around the nation. I'll tell you why coming up.
The beauty belt of the Seoul Gangnam district, where tourists flock in to enjoy premier aesthetic treatments while receiving top-notch care and services all in one building. In time for the autumn foliage, we take you to some scenic spots to enjoy the changing leaves and trees, some standing longer than Seoul's 600-year history, live on this Wednesday, October 23rd, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Good morning, everyone. Those of you who are preparing to get married might know this already, but it costs an arm and a leg to tie the knot here in Korea. And the Korea Consumer Agency released a report yesterday that showed the average cost of getting married in Korea stands at 50 million won. That's about 47,000 US dollars per person. So, and it takes two people to get married.
Exactly.
The last time I checked. So you do the math, right?
So the average would be 100,000 US dollars. That is a lot of money to put down for one day, but it is a special occasion. But out of the people that participated in this survey, the prices of the weddings that they paid for actually ranged quite a bit. The least expensive wedding cost 3.3 million won. That's roughly about 3,100 US dollars. And the most expensive and extravagant wedding cost 100 times that. We're talking about 330 million won. That's roughly about 310,000 US dollars. Now, out of the everyone that took the survey, 85% of the respondents, they did say that Korea's wedding culture revolves around luxury and extravagance, and sometimes a bit too much.
Sometimes a bit over the top there, but aren't we glad that we're done with this?
We're done with that.
All right, we'll begin Korea Today on this Wednesday morning with a check of the day's headlines.
North Korea is fully capable of starting a war on the Korean peninsula without China's and Russia's consent, says South Korea's newly appointed chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Choi Yoon-hee. His comments came during a parliamentary audit session Tuesday. He said Pyongyang would instigate a war if its current regime feels threatened, if there were a change in the balance of the military status quo between South and North, or if there were a fracture in the military alliance between Seoul and Washington. Choi also stressed that he believes North Korea has the capability to produce nuclear weapons, adding that its technology is in fact more advanced than it appears to be. He then went on to emphasize the South Korean military will never tolerate the North's provocations, especially in the West Sea, as Seoul sees the northern limit line as the de facto maritime border between the two countries. The rift between ruling and opposition parties is deepening after the former chief of the NIS probe, Yoon Suk-yeol, said he was politically pressured to downsize the scale of his investigation. Prosecutor Yoon, who had been investigating whether the spy agency or the NIS had intentionally swayed public opinion in the run-up to last year's presidential election, testified earlier in the week during a parliamentary audit that he felt pressure from his superiors. And the aftermath has driven a wedge between the main parties.
Senior prosecutors who think that not helping the opposition party is more important, and the head of the NIS who confidently told his agents to refuse to testify, these are things that can never happen in a normal democratic nation.
The Democratic Party is now showing its true colors, publicly denying its defeat in the presidential election. I hope the DP will quickly steer away from its bad habits and get over the fact that they lost in the presidential election.
The DP later said it doesn't dispute the results of the presidential election, but demanded President Park Geun-hye apologize and have Justice Minister Hwang Kyo-an, who is accused of exerting political influence on the probe, resign. The ruling party says it's regrettable to see the DP misuse the parliamentary audit as a political tool. And there were no surprises in the Defense Ministry's initial probe results on allegations that 4 of its officials participated in swaying public opinion in favor of the ruling party in the run-up to last year's presidential election. Defense Ministry spokesman Kim Min-seok told reporters Tuesday the 4 officials were found to have used their private Twitter accounts and blogs to post political comments. The ministry added they were strictly following their personal political preferences and beliefs, not orders from higher ups. But given the gravity of the situation, the ministry has turned the case into a full-fledged investigation. On the same day, investigators raided the offices of agents and officials in the Cyber Command Unit suspected of carrying out similar actions under a more organized scheme. And moving on, Korea and Poland have agreed to upgrade their bilateral relations, especially with a focus on business and defense fronts. The agreement came during President Park Geun-hye's summit talks with visiting Polish President Bronisław Komorowski on Tuesday.
지난 10년간의 실질 협력 성과를 토대로 이제 양국 관계를 전 분야에 걸쳐 포괄적으로 발전시키기 위해서 양국 간 전략적 동반자 관계를 맺기로 합의하였습니다.
Now, Korea hopes to export T-50 fighter jets worth some $400 to $500 million to Poland. And on that note, 2 MOUs were signed on Tuesday, one on defense cooperation and the other on preventing double taxation for companies in order to boost investment.
And good morning, everyone. Reactionary news today to the news we covered yesterday, the case of the National Intelligence Service's alleged presidential election meddling via Twitter is heating up, helped by Monday's very public disagreements between top district prosecutor Cho Young-gon and his former chief investigator Yoon Seok-yeol. And it is now pitting the country's 2 major political parties against each other once again. Let's go ahead and take a look at the story on Choson-ilbo. And the front page image shows Saenuri Party's floor leader Choi Kyung-hwan together with the party's head of strategic planning Kim Jae-won vis-a-vis Democratic Party head Kim Han-gil with his floor leader Chun Byung-hun there. And the headline above it reflects their differing stances. It reads, NIS controversy, ruling party closes eyes, opposition party crosses line. And the subheadline unwraps that by explaining that the ruling Saenuri Party is closing its eyes to the unveiled truths, only to repeat the message, let's stop the politically driven fighting, while the main opposition Democratic Party is pushing the envelope by even questioning the legitimacy of the incumbent's presidency. Now, according to the paper, the DP called for the resignation of all of those involved in this political pressure cooker situation, including the Justice Minister, NIS chief, as well as the head of the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office, simultaneously in a party meeting as well as in an outdoor protest rally at Seoul Plaza yesterday. The article also notes that it's the first time that prominent figures in the opposition party has considered out loud questioning the outcome of the last presidential race. And scooting right over to Gyeongyang Shinmun now, its headline focuses on the office of the prosecutor itself. Headline reads, self-inspection, Supreme Prosecutor's Office to review its NIS probe process. And the article notes that it is very rare for the institution to probe itself as opposed to probing a single individual. Meanwhile, the corresponding image shows the solemn face of Justice Minister Hwang Kyo-an facing President Park Geun-hye there during a cabinet meeting. She is reported to have not said a word about the ongoing conflict at the prosecutor's office during that cabinet meeting. And scooting over to 중앙일보 now, a similar image there, as you can see. The other big story this morning on the front pages is the investigation heating up surrounding the country's major mobile carrier, KT. This headline right here reads, prosecutors to soon summon KT chairman Lee Seok-chae on suspicion of causing losses in the millions. This after investigators raided KT's headquarters as well as subsidiary offices and even private residences of company executives yesterday morning, including that of the chairman. He has faced 2 criminal complaints in the past 8 months by a civic group as well as a journalist group on charges that he pushed ahead with business ventures that posed heavy losses in the millions of dollars to the company. And we'll go ahead and wrap things up with a look at a story on Mail Business newspaper this morning. We'll go ahead and take a look at this story here. The headline reads, subsidiary of world second-ranking Dufry wins Kim Hae SME duty-free bid. Now, Dufry is a Switzerland-based global duty-free retailer, and it won a bid to operate at the Kim-hae Airport in Busan, as released by the Korea Airports Corporation yesterday. The subheadline goes to hint at controversy ahead, given that the 434 square meter zone that Dufry is to occupy was actually set aside for small and medium-sized businesses, thus keeping large conglomerate brands like Lotte and Shilla at bay. Thus, the paper calls it reverse discrimination against local companies, and it is believed that the company that won that bid is a local subsidiary of Dufry. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap your look at what's in print on this Wednesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Tuesday's market action.
It was a perfect autumn day here in Korea yesterday. Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect, right?
The daytime highs do get up there, though, where you need to take off that sweater that you carried out there in the morning.
Nice and warm, I say.
Yeah, we got to enjoy that while that lasts, though.
Love
right?
the sky.
Right. We will get a check on the weather for today with our Idami, who joins us from in Seoul, right?
Yep, that's right. Gwanghwamun.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Jung-gu Seoul. Now, throughout this week, we have been seeing beautiful autumn-like weather, and today is no exception as we will be seeing clear skies and receiving abundant sunshine throughout the day. However, for those of you residing over in the east coastal areas and down south in Jeju Island, you may want to carry those portable umbrellas because there will be signs of sporadic showers along with gusty winds. Now, this morning here in Seoul, lows are at 11 degrees Celsius, but later our highs will leap up quite a bit, making a significant gap between our highs and lows. You may want to endure and take in as much of this last warmth of autumn because temperatures are going to dip down into the single digits, or our lows are in the latter half of this week, making the atmosphere much colder. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get a check on today's numbers. Seoul, Daejeon, and Daegu will all rise to 22. Gangneung, the coolest at 18. Busan and Gwangju at 23, as Jeju with highs at 21 degrees. Tomorrow, we are expecting similar conditions like today here in the central regions. That's all for the weather forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
If you are in Korea and you drive a car, you might be used to getting pampered at gas stations with the many extra services they provide. But apparently there is a wind of change. More people are opting to ditch those services and pump their own gas. So why? Our Connie Lee is here to tell us more. Good morning, Connie.
Good morning. Well, full-service gas stations are still the most common type of gas station in Korea, but the number of self-service gas stations has reached a new high as of late. So it might be a new trend that's likely to continue in the coming years. Let's take a look.
Seek and you can now find. The number of self-service gas stations is rising quickly here in Korea. For the first time ever, self-service stations now make up more than 10% of all gas stations in the nation.
Instead of letting others do the work for my own car, I like to do things myself. So I like these self-service stations.
Over the past 6 years alone, the number of self-service gas stations has increased exponentially, with just 59 stations in 2007 and more than 1,300 now. This station in one of Seoul's wealthier neighborhoods recently made the switch from being a full-service station to a self-service one because business wasn't going well.
Operating gas stations has gotten difficult, with stations not making much profit these days. With rising gasoline prices and increased competition in the market, it's hard for gas stations to survive. So self-service stations have recently been increasing since it cuts labor costs and other expenses that go into a full-service station.
It might be less convenient to pump your own gas, but it looks like more people are choosing these self-service gas stations for the lower prices.
Prices depend on the station and by area, but on average, self-service stations offer gas that is about 100 won cheaper. That's a little less than 10 cents.
I think I save about 8 cents. I don't get the full service treatment, but I save money, so it's worth it.
For now, full-service gas stops abound in the nation. Customers can stay in their cars, have someone else pump their tanks, and also get a freebie like a pack of tissues for their visit.
Even though there are more discounted gas stations and self-service stations now, there are plenty of customers who prefer receiving all the benefits at a full-service gas station. It's quick, easy, and much more convenient.
But many of these stations are now feeling the pinch. More than 600 full-service gas stations nationwide are temporarily closed or have shut down this year. So it won't be surprising if more people will now have to get used to pumping their own gas in the coming years.
Well, officials at the Korean Oil Association do say that although the number of self-service stations is rising, they don't think it'll surpass the 50% mark like in oil-producing countries such as the U.S. and Europe, where the number of self-service stations account for more than 85% of all gas stations.
Right. And did they give a possible explanation as to why Korea would not surpass that mark and not have that many self-service gas stations?
Well, the market is different depending on each country.
Right.
But one of their explanations was that because the gas prices in Korea is so high, Korea is not an oil-producing country, providing different services at gas stations gives a way for gas station operators to charge more for their gas. So they provide, freebies, tissues, water bottles, and free car washes to regular customers. And on top of that, this could be as much of a cultural issue as it is an economic issue. As you may already know, Korea is a service-oriented country. And so people that I talked to, especially, they weren't that fond of doing the work themselves, and so they actually think that it's a hassle to get out of their cars, and they didn't even want to bother to learn how to pump their own gas.
Right. I have to make a confession, and I used to be one of those, but now I know how to pump my own gas. But I mean, you did mention that full-service gas stations have closed down, many of them, and you mentioned the competition, right?
Right. Well, in order to curb the rising price of gas, the government has been pushing for more discounted gas stations to
to be all around the nation. And for one, the government aims to open more than 1,000 discounted gas stations by 2015. However, some gas station operators aren't happy because they think the market is already too saturated. On top of that, gasoline prices remain high. So it's not like the gas prices are going lower for these consumers. And so the Korea Oil Station Association hopes that the government can enforce other policies that benefit both consumers and all gas station operators.
All right. Thank you very much, Connie, for your report today. It was a very interesting story there. See you
You're
next
welcome.
week. And switching from one wind of change to a more literal wind of change, autumn is here and still ahead on Korea Today. Chef Andreas Krampel will join us live to cook up some savory stew and a special japchae dish made with autumn's most treasured ingredients. For example, pine mushrooms. They're rich with the scent and offer a healthy taste of the season.
All right, it's time for another installment on Korea's medical tourism. If you walk down the streets of Gangnam, you'll be bombarded with the signboards of plastic surgery clinics, one after another. It's a saturated market for sure, but they're now turning to foreign tourists who may yearn to become a bit more beautiful.
Yes, Korea's beauty mecca has plenty of options for those people who don't mind a little bit of medical assistance for the purpose of beautification. We'll get a look at some of the options and the services that the beauty mecca holds.
Korea's symbol of urban sophistication, Gangnam. It's the heart of the country's medical beauty industry, where 70% of all plastic surgery clinics are located. Let's find out more about Gangnam's medical tourism.
See a doctor today?
This is the Gangnam Medical Tour Center. Tourists in Gangnam can visit to learn all about the district's beauty tourism. At the Gangnam Center, they have information on hospitals, specialty areas, doctors, and prices for treatment available to the public, so it's easy to choose a trustworthy hospital.
We offer hospital information directly to patients seeking medical services in Gangnam, so they don't have to go to different hospitals or use a third party like a travel agency.
The center also offers professional consultations for tourists visiting Korea without any prior knowledge of Korea's medical tourism. This one-stop service provides everything from consultation, hospital appointment reservation, transportation guides, and sightseeing tours. It's called the Reborn Package and is exclusively offered in Gangnam.
In China, we hear a lot about Koreans' advanced medical beauty treatments, but not the specifics like where to go. I like how I can get all the information here in one place.
The center transfers the tourist's consultation files to the hospital of choice, and the patient can receive his or her chosen procedure almost immediately.
Many of our patients visit for both beauty treatments and sightseeing purposes, so they prefer simple procedures like laser or brightening treatments.
Here, they offer programs for all skin types, such as basic skincare treatments, acne and scar removal, and more. So what's the most popular option among medical tourists?
This is a massage using fermentation enzymes extracted from makgeolli. It's effective in brightening, anti-aging, and hydrating the skin.
Foreign medical tourists say the elite doctors and trustworthy information provided by the district-run Gangnam Medical Tour Center is the best part of their experience in Gangnam. Another selling point of Gangnam's medical tourism is its grand and luxurious facilities. For example, this 15-story building is a medical beauty specialty hospital, which has 8 departments and a research lab. They also offer private post-operation recovery rooms and a chauffeured limousine service to and from Incheon Airport, satisfying all needs of their patients. Emphasis on patients' privacy, individualized care, and state-of-the-art plastic surgery techniques are turning Gangnam's medical beauty treatments into another Hallyu boom.
Korea is very advanced in the field of plastic surgery, especially in the field of orthodontic surgery or facial contouring procedures. No other country comes close. Many foreign patients come to Korea after watching Korean stars in TV dramas, hoping to become beautiful like them.
After learning about Korean culture, many foreigners come to Gangnam dreaming to become as beautiful as Korean Hallyu stars. Since 2009, Gangnam received nearly 80,000 foreign medical tourists and has quickly risen to become the mecca for beauty tourism.
I always felt very troubled due to my square jaw, but my friend recommended I come to Korea. After today's consultation, I have a lot of trust and look forward to becoming prettier in Korea.
Let's take a look at some of the leading fashion and luxury hotspots in the area. This is the Cheongdam Boutique District, where flagship stores of world-famous luxury brands are, and it has become a popular must-visit destination for medical tourists. Garosu-gil is where Korea's flashy young crowds go for the chic atmosphere, vintage clothes shopping, and trendy restaurants. Also in Gangnam, the headquarters of mega entertainment companies like SM, JYP, and Cube are located nearby, so if lucky, medical beauty tourists might actually get a glimpse of their favorite Hallyu stars. The road from the headquarters of SM Entertainment to Cube Entertainment, which is about 1 kilometer, will be designated the K-Star Road. To actively promote Hallyu cultural contents, the district is setting up a photo zone, a music video experience hall, and more.
It's kind of special. It's really amusement, and I like K-pop. 감사합니다 for doing this.
As Gangnam is the leading district for medical beauty tourism, hotels in this area are doing business a little differently. For the convenience of their guests, many 5-star hotels in Gangnam are offering beauty treatments within the hotel. Now, hotels are establishing their own professional medical clinics. From skincare to spa treatments and simple cosmetic surgery procedures, guests can enjoy these services without leaving their hotels. One of the hotels is promoting an anti-aging tour package program that involves a 10-day stay and can cost from a minimum of $4,700 up to a whopping $94,000. This one-stop service of lodging and medical tourism allows tourists to experience a new kind of service dubbed Meditel.
After adding a clinic and spa facility to the hotel, we saw a 20% of increase of foreign guests each year. We've received a lot of positive response from foreign medical tourists because we offer a full service from lodging to medical tourism and aftercare assistance.
The Beauty Belt in Gangnam. With its state-of-the-art medical techniques and great patient care services, it's quickly becoming Korea's #1 destination for medical tourism.
Wow, there are a lot of services there. The number of visitors visiting the Gangnam district for medical tourism has increased 25% in the last 3 years, recording over 30,000 visitors just last year in 2012. It is the leading medical tourism aspect of Korea.
And so many different services are being offered other than the ones we saw in the report. Many 5-star hotels in Gangnam offer discounts to medical tourists. So when you check in, you say, I'm here to become more beautiful with the help of medical technology. Right. And many airliners as well, they have these special medical tour package deals where they can also make they book appointments with trusted medical facilities. So they're really going out of their way to be accommodating.
Right. And if you are interested and you do want to visit Korea for that aspect, you can always visit their website, Gangnam-gu Tourist Information Center, as well as Gangnam Medical Tour Center's website. I would say it's a bit of a unique, it'll be a unique experience if you're really up for it, right?
What do you think? Maybe I should go in there. I'm here for a little bit of medical tourism. And then
you live in Korea, so you're not.
Just run a few miles, Young.
All right, it's 7:30 a.m. on Korea Today, and we're going to be looking at pine mushrooms with our chef Andreas Krampel, who's getting ready right there. But pine mushrooms are amazing.
Right, we're really excited about this.
Rare.
It's rare, it's expensive, it's not easy to get your hands on these mushrooms. So we're really excited about this. Chef Andreas Krampel is standing by with these.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Tell us about these amazing mushrooms.
Amazing mushroom, and they grow actually on 40-year-old pine trees. So I didn't know that before too, and it's a rare delicacy what only has a short season, and for us in the kitchen it's also something really special to prepare these during the season. So today I make 2 very simple dishes, actually trying to keep the flavor of the mushroom and the nice smell and scent of it is amazing. So one of them I make a little stew. I'm using some forest mushroom, of course the pine mushroom, and I thicken it with some perilla seeds or wild sesame powder, what has amazing creamy flavor and texture. And the second dish, I make a japchae, also with different mushrooms and some bean sprouts, and I use some pine mushrooms during that process as well.
Okay. So do these mushrooms and wild sesame, they go well together? It's a good mix?
For me, yes. I tasted it in one of my kitchens, and it has that little nutty flavor, gives a little creamy texture. For me, it's amazing to have those two together.
Well,
I never knew that before.
Done.
Yeah, and also, I mean, pine mushrooms are beautiful as they are. I just shaved some off earlier, so that's how it looks. I shaved them really fine because I want to get the scent of the mushroom, and then you actually can eat them quite raw. What has a delicious taste to it, and the fragrance, amazing. So for the stew, actually, very simple. If you have a nice chicken stock, use a chicken stock. If not, use some water. I add some soya sauce. I add a little bit of garlic. And then I bring the stew or the stock to a boil. Then I use my mushrooms I selected earlier. I wash them, dry them a little bit. Starting with the pine mushrooms, what I shaved thinly, some Korean king oyster mushrooms, stroll mushrooms. So you can use whatever variety you like to have. So I use about 4 of them. Now, this one takes about 3-4 minutes to boil. I will finish that off later and show you my secret trick to make this dish really special.
What are we looking forward to? That's a lot of mushrooms there.
For the second dish, actually, I make the japchae. I use some different mushrooms again, some seasonal forest mushrooms. I blanch them quickly in some salted water, and then I squeeze out the excess water. And I'm just mixing them up here with a little bit of mustard sauce. So I add them all into a bowl. A little bit of carrot julienne for color and sweetness. Maybe not so much. Good.
So you don't use those noodles, the tangmyeon, for the japchae?
No, this is actually because the bean sprouts actually, they look like it, and they act like the noodles as such. So a few sesame seeds.
It's a very low-carb diet, right? I mean, if
this is a very healthy dish, yes. A little bit sesame oil, and then I made the mustard dressing earlier. This is a standard mustard dressing for mustard powder, a little bit of vinegar and sugar. So I'm adding this one to it. And of course, my pine mushrooms, the most important.
That's the magic ingredient.
I like to use a mandolin, what is a thin shaver for any vegetables. You can. It's more accurate as a knife.
So
world-class
chefs use those gadgets, right? Okay.
Makes life in the kitchen a lot easier and at home too. So you shave them really fine to get the aroma and the scent of the mushrooms, really. These ones you can make ahead before dinner, leave it in the fridge for half an hour, is no problem at all. And if you could come over here and smell that later, you will smell. But I can, the distance from 15 centimeters, I smell the Thai mushrooms coming up. So it's a delicious dish.
Okay.
So my mushrooms are start boiling now. The secret trick to that recipe is actually I'm going to blend some bean curd, tofu, with a little bit of water. And then I add some wild sesame or perilla seed powder.
Huh.
So I'm going to take 3 or 4 spoons of that. Give it a quick blend, and then add that to my stew.
Oh, okay, so that's on top of the chicken stock or water that you have.
Together with the stock.
Right.
What makes it like a creamy stock without using any cream. So it makes a real smooth, silky texture, what I think is amazing.
Oh, that is a trick.
And that's pretty much it for my stew. So I'm adding my perilla seeds and tofu to my mushrooms.
Okay,
Tubu, as they're known in Korea.
And we're pretty much done now. Reduce the heat. You don't want to cook it too much because the scent and the fragrance will go. So that's pretty much done.
All right, well, sounds good. We're going to be looking forward
Low
to that.
Low calorie, low carb.
Exactly, that's
the
perfect
way we
breakfast
love
for
it,
today,
right?
especially
exactly.
for me.
All of those dishes put together, probably 30 calories or so.
30
right?
calories.
Or a little bit more.
Bit of
a few more, maybe.
Exaggeration, I would say.
Thank you, Chef. We'll check back with you later on. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
still ahead on Korea today, we're going to look at some trees. We're going to take a stroll down the streets and a walk around the park and wine and dine around admiring the beauties of autumn colors. We take you on a tour around Seoul's best spots to enjoy the changing colors of fall foliage with their old and deep roots in their city capital. Stay tuned.
And a good Wednesday morning to you all as we kick things off with the 2013 National Sports Festival currently taking place in Incheon. Now, going into this event, a lot of fans had high expectations for Marine boy Park Tae-hwan and hope he will win 5 gold medals this year. Well, it's getting closer now after helping Incheon City Hall win the 800-meter men's relay. Going into the finals as the 4th swimmer in the relay race, Incheon City Hall was in 5th place before the Marine boys stormed past everyone in the last lap to finish first and claim the gold medal. With the gold medal finish, that's his 4th gold medal in 4 events as he hopes to win his 5th gold medal on the 24th during the 400-meter men's medley event. And moving over to the majors with Chu Shin-soo hitting free agency, there are a lot of teams that want to sign him. Well, the problem is not a lot of teams in the majors can afford him unless that team is the New York Yankees. According to several sources, the general manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman, has stated that he's going to go after Chu Shin-soo this offseason. With Curtis Granderson hitting free agency this offseason and the team without a leadoff hitter and outfielders, Chu Shin-soo should be a great fit for the team. Meanwhile, the Yankees are also going after Brian McCann of the Atlanta Braves and Stephen Drew of the Boston Red Sox as they hope to rebuild an aging team. And moving over to domestic football, where K-League Classic officials met up to talk about next season. And the biggest topic was whether or not they should keep the split format system they've been using for the past 2 seasons. While the new system brought excitement for the fans and teams vying for the top half of the standing, also led to the team facing more problems with the attendance rate. All the teams in the bottom half of the table have been seeing less and less fans come out to the stadium since there's really nothing to look forward to in the second half of the season for them. Now, due to the lack of attendance, the split format has brought league officials are thinking about shifting back to the old format next season. And finishing things off with some Tuesday night KBL action, we had one game that took place last night, an exciting one, as the Seoul Samsung Thunders took on Wonju Dongbu Promi. And going into the game here, a big first quarter from the Samsung Thunders as they outscored Dongbu 29-15 to take a comfortable lead from the start. Second quarter, Dongbu starts rallying as they finish off the first half down 45-34. Third quarter comes along, Dongbu keeping it close in the game as they cut the deficit to 71-61 And a big game from Samsung's big man Jasper Johnson. Puts up 25 points and 8 rebounds, but Jung-gu with a huge fourth quarter rallied back as Kim Ju-sung with the last-second game-winning shot helps Jung-gu rally back to win this one. 85-84, your final score. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
And today is a very special day. It is Hanshik Day, or Korean Food Day, and the popularity of Korean food has
The first ever
really spread.
Korean food day, in fact.
The first ever, in fact. And if you love your kimchi, you know that I got to have mine. And we're going to look at what's going on today with Lee Dami joining us from Gwanghwamun. Dami.
Back to you.
I'm back reporting live from Gwanghwamun Square, where the first Korean Food Day is being held. Now, this event was created in order for more people to be aware of the value and vision of Korean food. They're also hoping that through this event, the Korean food, through this event, the day will get recognized as a nationally commemorated day in the future, and also help the food culture become a leading competitive sector of Korea. Now, in order for the visitors to understand, relate, communicate, and learn about Korean food, there are many events in stores, such as the giant bibimbap performance, Korean food contest, tasting of Korean food, hanbok or Korean traditional dress fashion show, and many more. Now, Korean food is not only beautiful in sight, but it has a certain depth to it, and it's also known to be quite healthy. So rice, soup, kimchi, and certain side dishes are usually what consist in a Korean food diet. And it's also known to prevent obesity, cancer, high blood pressure, and such. Okay, well, enough said. Of the many booths that are set up right now, I am at the food tasting section, of course. And this morning, of the many foods that you can find, such as gyobang food, food from Buddhist temples, court cuisine, native dishes from different areas, and much more, I'll be trying a dish called samham, which usually consists of boiled pork, kimchi, and skate. But I will be trying chador samham, which consists of chador. Right here we see it's a certain type of beef, or thin sliced beef, and also some scallop of the pen shell, and kimchi or leaf mustard kimchi. So I'm going to go ahead and try it out. They also say that it's a well-being food, so hopefully it'll taste as good as it is for the body. All right, here I go. 맛있어요. Yes, please, give me more. Give me a second to let me finish this off. All right. Excuse me, this is so good. I cannot explain in words how good it is. Today at Gwanghwamun Square, the first Korean Food Day will be held from noon to 6 p.m. You should definitely come on by and try it for yourselves. Hopefully through this event, this will become more popular and maybe even become a stepping stone for letting the world know more about Korean food. I'm Lee Dami, Korea Today.
All right, we're going to be, well, actually, I was just amazed at Tommy. She's had so much trouble talking with her mouth full. It's just like, wow. We have food cooking in the kitchen right here on Korea Today, and looking at food just makes you a lot hungry. But we're going to be looking at something very different today. Joining us is Peter Bint to look at the trees of Seoul. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, that's right, because autumn is in full swing now, right? And you can already see the changing foliage here in Seoul. And for hundreds of years, these trees have offered the great scenery and autumn colors. But it's not just the scenery they play a big role in, it is also the history and legend of the capital. So let's take a closer look at the Seoul's trees. Under the warm sunlight and clear blue sky.
Wow.
You can breathe in the romantic autumn scenery around Seoul. Today I'll show you some beautiful roads that are especially lovely in the fall. This is Cheongdong-gil in Jung-gu Central Seoul. It refers to the road along the stone walls of Doksu Palace, so it's also known as Doksu Palace's Stone Wall Road. Ginkgo trees lined along the palace walls are the highlight of Cheongdong-gil. The road, stretching a kilometre long, looks like a real-life watercolour painting. This beautiful strip with its scenic ambience is designated the first most desirable walking trail and became instantly famous and the most recognisably beautiful road with trees.
So leisurely.
Autumn is the most beautiful season, so I come here often with my friends.
And now we're on our way to another scenic road just as beautiful as Cheongdong-gil. It's in Samcheongdong, not too far away. Ginkgo trees and Zerkova trees line a 1.5-kilometre stretch, and the most beautiful spot is where ginkgo trees sit along Gyeongbok Palace. It's the perfect time to walk on fallen leaves and enjoy a sip of coffee at a Samcheongdong cafe. Just 2 days ago, Seoul announced the top 81 trails to enjoy the autumn foliage. Cheongdong-gil and Samcheongdong-gil were picked as the best date courses, and the Meta Sequoia Road at Yangjae Citizens Park and Hanok Park were selected as the best spots for rest and relaxation. Full foliage in Seoul will peak in early November. Trees sometimes become attractions themselves, and in some places, locals honour them as guardian spirits. This 871-year-old hyang tree or juniper tree at the Sacho intersection is cleaned every spring, and its environment for growth improves each time.
871 years old.
Older
and
than
we
you.
pass it every day, almost every day, on the way to work.
Thanks to the constant care and attention of people for nearly 1,000 years, this Cheonnyang hyang tree is able to still exist to this day. This tree in a residential area in Karibongdong has been respected and honoured by locals for 500 years. Locals believe that performing memorial services at this chukbaek tree will bring good luck and resolve problems.
Bring that to my front yard.
So they carry out
arrested.
a service during the first full moon of each new year and around harvest season as well, so twice a year.
Wow, they really still do that.
This is a holy tree that has coexisted with the residents here for over 500 years. Every year, the residents come together for a memorial service to pray for our well-being and happiness.
Good to see that the tradition still continues.
And local residents, they actually volunteer for the Chukbaek Tree Memorial Service Committee and hold services each year. It's very meaningful that these residents, they volunteer themselves. And currently they perform a traditional service in formal attire, but in the old days, locals would stop by the holy tree to pray and leave food, even though there wasn't a formal ritual held. This tree has become a big part of local life. So for 600 years, trees have stood strong and protected Seoul and its people through turbulent times. How about this weekend? You take a moment away from the busy city life and enjoy the steady growing trees and autumn leaves of the city.
I think I speak for all of us when I say I could just look at the changing leaves all day long.
Yeah.
Right? It's so beautiful. But I hear this year's autumn foliage is a bit behind schedule.
Yeah, that's right. I think the Bukhan trees, Bukhan Mountain, they're going to peak around about the end of this month because it's a bit cooler there. But most of the trees in the city, like you saw in the report, early November you're going to have to wait until. So bear those dates in mind and take a hike around that time.
Okay, so while we are waiting for the autumn foliage to begin, there are are many trees that's been designated as national monuments here in Seoul. What are some of the trees and where can we go to see them?
At the historic Changdeok Palace, there are 8 haeha trees. They're also known as pagoda trees, and all 8 of them are national monuments, in fact. So next time you visit, don't just appreciate the architecture, appreciate these trees as well. They are like a living museum, I guess. And then if you go to Jaedong in Cheongno-gu, there's a 600-year-old lace bark tree, and that's a really rare sight to see in Seoul. They only grow in 2 places.
So that's why you'll get arrested if you try to steal that and take it to your front yard or backyard.
That, please, Young.
And kind of like flowers. I mean, trees also have kind of a bit of a unique meaning to each tree, right?
Yeah, that's right. Especially here in Korea, the chukbaek tree is beloved for its long life and medicinal purposes as well. And that's why it's grown in important sites like family shrines and also front yards. Then there's also the haeha tree that we just mentioned. It's also known as the pagoda tree or scholar tree. And that's because its form, it symbolizes integrity and also higher education of classical scholars. And it's known for good luck and used to actually only be allowed to be grown in a scholar's home, no one else's.
Interesting.
Well, we see trees every single day and we really do take them for granted.
We
but
do.
Some of them are, all of them actually, are very beautiful. Yeah. And, you know, like the giving tree says, it always gives to us, right?
That's a message there. Thank you, Young, for that message. And thank you, Peter, for your story. All right, let's check back in with our chef who is standing by with some pine mushroom dishes. Back to you, chef.
Wow, welcome back again. So, what I did earlier, the little crunchy salad with the pine mushrooms, the japchae. So what I did, I shaved again the mushroom really thinly and I wrapped it into the raw mushroom. So the japchae is sitting inside the mushroom. Easy to pick, easy to eat for any guest on that matter. The other one, the stew has been boiled, brought to a boil. It's just sitting there now because I wanted to remain the nice scent of the mushroom. Don't want to boil it too long. So pretty much done as such. So you need to come over and try.
All right, that's an invitation.
That's our cue. Just like you need to
we
come
were
over
waiting
and
for
try
that
the food.
cue, in fact. All right, let's dig in. So what do we have here? Wow, it looks
So that's
really
the
good.
japchae, and this is the stew of wild mushrooms and pine mushrooms. With
I've never seen japchae without the noodles, the tangnyeon. Right?
I know,
you think of
exactly.
it as a noodle dish, but it's so interesting.
Yeah, if you look at it, it looks sort of like a noodle.
It does, too.
But it has a really crunchy texture.
You cut the head and the tail of it off,
Yes,
so
correct.
it does.
So,
it is easy to eat, right?
Correct,
Okay.
has the appearance of the.
Where's our utensils?
Yes,
How are you?
utensils.
No chops.
We
Oh,
have
here,
to-
here. Okay. All right, let's
Thank
dig
you.
in. All right. One for you, chef.
Oh, I've tried it while you were doing the
All right,
other
I'm
show.
gonna go for the soup.
Most important for me, the wild pearl seed powder has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, what is good for your health actually. It reduces cancer cells from growth. It helps you digest things. It's good against inflammation.
Seriously,
No, this
add
is
that.
actually already in the stew.
Oh, okay, all
But I
right.
just want to show it as
Just-
part of the ingredient.
All of that, what you said, was just right through my
Right, I'm
ears.
not
I'm like, I'm
listening.
dying to eat this right now.
And it tastes amazing too
Oh,
for me.
wow, this is really comforting. This is like it's so good for you. I can feel it.
And
Just
it's a
go
nice
ahead.
dish
I
to
almost
have.
want to feed you.
Well, what do you think? Do you think it'll mix well with rice too? Very good.
Yeah, on the autumn afternoon,
try
you have a
this.
big
Is it
bowl
good?
of this
Yeah, it's
coming
good.
home.
Wow,
This
nice
is
and warm.
amazing.
Wow.
At first, I was just gonna do
won't
a
be
fake
able to
TV
talk.
reaction, but that's a real reaction. That was really good.
Yeah, I cooked a big pot, so after the show we can.
Now who's gonna talk? Now who's gonna talk?
This is like the perfect little cocktail.
Yeah, that's right.
Too, right?
Very simple, very easy.
Neglecting our jobs right now.
Why don't you
Refusing to
close the
talk.
show,
I don't know how to close the show, but it's amazing to cook with pine mushrooms, and it's one time a year, only for 2 months.
Thank you so
Of the
much
time,
for
so-
giving us, preparing all this. It's really perfect.
Glad you enjoyed.
Yeah, all right. And with that, we're going to close the show. The two of you are busy eating, so
Close the show
that's
for
the
us.
end of our show today. And we will see you again tomorrow at 7 a.m. It's Thursday, right?
I can talk now. Thanks
Yeah, you
for
can talk.
watching.
Thanks
See
for
you
watching.
tomorrow.
I'm just gonna
Bye-bye.
keep eating.
It's really good. I want to drink.